Jacqui Just Chatters is officially kicking off season 4 today. This is the first of a series of episodes focusing on the power of small. I'm talking about noticing the little victories that happen every day that we too often just walk right past. With my guest, Kara Infante, we discuss our relationship with acknowledging small wins and how to have more with the power of hobbies. Welcome to the Jacqui Just Chatters podcast, because every story deserves its spotlight. Whether you are new here or a repeat visitor, I'm happy you've joined me today. If this is your first time listening, this is a storytelling podcast in which whimsical tales are shared in every episode, full of humor, heart, and possibly inspiration. My guest today is Kara Infante, a trained physical therapist, a world traveler thanks to her husband's military service, a reading advocate, especially to her children, and if that wasn't enough, she hosts the charming podcast Bookish Flights. Kara and her podcast were featured in SD Voyager's Hidden Gems series. SD stands for San Diego. Yes, I'm a little jealous that she lives in a place where she can have an orange tree in her yard. She is a passionate believer that not only do books come into our lives when we need them most, but they are also a wonderful way to foster friendships and a community. They have certainly added to our special friendship. Welcome to the show, Kara. I am honored to have you back as a guest.
Thank you so much for having me, Jacqui. I am honored to be here today.
I love it when you come over and chat with me. We always have the best time.
Yes, and I love our offline chats as well. You make this space so much better.
Aw, thank you. For me, I am definitely a headache gal and like my stomach. Like it just clenches up. How do you process your stress, Kara?
Yeah, I am all in like my neck and my jaw. And I love that you brought this up because my physical therapist mind is, oh, yes. I can't tell you how many times I would tell a patient when they were in the clinic, right, we're treating their pain. I'm like, check in with yourself in a moment of stress and see what you are clenching, because I guarantee you're clenching something. And sometimes it could be like your glutes. So people with low back pain, it could be, for me, it's like my jaw and my neck that just starts clenching. And I'm like, sometimes I catch myself, I'm not even that stressed and I'm like clenching my jaw. So I think it's important to check in with yourself because your body does hold on to that too.
Yes, like I'll try to do that of like when I feel like I'm stressing, notice your body, like what's
Mhm.
happening with your head. Is your stomach tight?
I feel like you have muscle tension in those spots. The best thing, like you said, is to breathe. But sometimes that's even hard when you are feeling overwhelmed. But is like for my jaw, it's like I open up my jaw as big as it can go and then I relax it. And I do that a couple times just to remind myself, like, where is the middle point of relaxation? So whether that's in your neck, you can stretch out your neck, or stand up if it's like in your lower back or glutes. So you can do all these things to remind your muscles of like, where is my resting state versus this clenched position.
I heard the craziest thing that if you're in your head and you've got that stress going on or anxiety or whatever it is, and you want to break it, there's actually a physical way. Get like ice water, as cold water as you can get, and either splash it on your face or literally dunk your face into it, because the coldness shocks your whole body. Like it's not
Yeah.
thinking about anything but, oh my goodness, my face is cold. But then it short circuits all those other negative things.
That makes sense. I feel like in my mind, I'm thinking it's like the eject button, right? The plane's going down, you're hitting eject. And it's like, just this is my emergency response that I'm going to use in that moment.
Kara, how is your relationship with small wins? Do you notice them?
So I have to be very intentional about them. But as a busy mom, I actually was just having this thought process this morning of how I don't feel like I have a ton of like me time in the day, which is fine, right? This is a stage of my life, but I remind myself it's sunny out today. There's a roof over my head, or just reminding myself of the good when I'm feeling, and it comes back to feeling overwhelmed. Oh, I've got to do 75 things on the to-do list today, and that can seem overwhelming and start getting a bit frenzied, or just start checking stuff off. Like I'm a big list maker, so back to the small wins, I think that's where my small wins come in, because I love checking them off. So that I think helps in like remembering, okay, you did that, you accomplished it.
I'm a big list person too. And there is something satisfying about like checking off something because it does have that small win feel to it. My problem is I put 10 pounds of crap in a 5 pound bag. That's what my dad used to say. He didn't use the word crap. That I have to remind myself, I'm like, okay, yeah, you wrote this amazing list of all the stuff you're going to get done. You can't. Even Superman's not going to get this list done.
Yeah, I think for me also with back to having so little time that's not consumed by being a mom, I have had to learn to prioritize things as well and also create boundaries. Like you're saying, there are just certain things that I cannot take on. And as much as I would love to, I'm a very big yes person, but I have to recognize that there is just not enough hours in the day for me to take on X project or do this or commit to doing something. I just have to recognize that.
Do you celebrate your small wins in any way?
I don't know that I really do celebrate them. Do you?
No. And I know better. Like, I know they're
Yeah.
important to recognize them. We need to be celebrating or marking them in some way to help remind us that, because again, it's like that shock of the cold water to the face. It's, when we celebrate this thing, it's, hey, hold on, you did something. You're a capable adult, you're a good person, and let's really notice because that bad thing that happened, oh, you're going to be thinking about that for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But the good thing, if you don't give it that attention, and that's something I know I got to work on because I'm not very good at it.
Yeah. I think it's also taking the time to recognize them, right? Because I feel like we are so we're running to the next thing. You do check it off and you're like, great, but then you're on to the next seven things on the list. So I think taking that time to that's why I think a lot of people do this at the end of the day, right? A lot of people have the journaling practice where they'll
Right.
write three things that they're grateful for today or whatever you want to look at that. You could look at that as your small wins. But I think having a time that you can reflect in your day and fitting that in and making sure you do it would be huge towards that.
Right. Bad. I wonder if it wouldn't actually be a good morning practice. Okay, yesterday. What were your small wins yesterday? And that might get you in a mindset of, okay, small wins are going to happen today as well. I thought we would share a small win with each other. I'll go first with mine. My nieces who are in college actually reached out to me and they're like, we want to go estate sale shopping with you. And like at first, that was the win right there. Is when they reach out and they're like, oh, I want to spend time with you. That just makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And so we went to two different sales. And the second one, it was just crazy. Like the best thing, the house had one room with, there must have been 20, 25 Santa bears, every kind of Santa bear. Oh my gosh. It was such a cute thing. You just could not help but feel like happy going in that room and looking at all of them. There was one with a sleeping cap and
How
jammies,
cute.
and on the back it had like the butt flap with the buttons and
Mm.
the little bear tails popping out. Oh gosh, cutest thing. We just laughed and we had such a good time, and that's definitely a small win I had recently.
I'm so glad you went first because I was having a moment of what small win have I had? And this could be as simple as so I very much enjoy in quotes getting up at 4:30 in the morning because it's me time. And it's when I read, it's my quiet moment to the day. My kids are starting to sleep in a little bit more, but I started this back when I had early risers. They'd get up at 5:30 or 6. So it allowed me to have an hour to myself. Lately, I have been snoozing away. And I don't even remember shutting my alarm off type snoozing. And I'm normally not that type of person. But today I actually got up at 4:30. Now, did I fall asleep on the couch at 6? Like my husband came down to go for work. He's, "Oh, you're sleeping again?" I was like, "I was just tired, so I laid down." But I did get up at 4:30 this morning and read.
Well, congratulations on making time for yourself. That is so important. And taking the nap, that's time for you too. You're nice and rested for the interview now.
I know that's what I thought. I'm like, my brain will be fresh for this morning to talk to Jacqui.
Absolutely. So today we want to dive deeper than just noticing small wins, but how to create them. And I guess this is the advanced level. A wonderful small win is making time for yourself, just like you talked about. And that is our specific theme is carving out time for relaxing and activities that just bring us joy. So we're going to talk about the importance of leisure. Kara, you have very strong feelings about this. Lay them on me.
Yeah, I think that we don't know how to leisure as Americans because in our world, and no one come at me, but we think leisure is like scrolling on our phone. And
Yes.
I don't think, and I have found that is the ultimate reset. And I think that leisure time, truly, if we are spending it doing something we enjoy, will truly allow us to feel reset, right? So if you're a mom and you only have 20 minutes to yourself in the day, like really making sure you're capitalizing on that 20 minutes. And that might mean leaving the phone in the other room. But I think finding things that you enjoy, and you and I have talked about this so much. Like, it doesn't have to be something that you feel like you have to be productive at. It doesn't need to be something that's going to make you money, but it ultimately needs to be something that like feeds your soul. And I think we are lacking it so much as a society today.
We absolutely are. I agree. I it got me wondering about the history of hobbies and leisure. And because I agree with you, we've lost it. And I'm like, where did we get it from in the first place? Is there something we can use to capitalize? And I was really surprised that during the Industrial Revolution, labor unions were forming and they were advocating for the shorter working hours and the 5 day work week, the style that we have today. That is from the unions during that time period. Before that, it was common for people to work 6 days a week, maybe seven.
Oh,
That this idea that people never worked on Sundays is not true. When you're poor, you work when you can work.
yeah.
And they were working 10 to 12-hour days or more every day. They literally had no time for anything else. With the shorter work week, the result was an increase in free time. And so people began picking up hobbies as a way to fill the hours with something pleasurable. They did not want to waste the day, like you said, that doing nothing, but they wanted it to be something happy.
Yeah.
And the Great Depression and World War II, this was a time when the nation was just full of tension and people are freaking out. Anxiety and low unemployment are the perfect cocktail to ensure rise in hobbies. Do you remember your parents or grandparents having hobbies?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My dad was a musician. So for him, putzing away on his guitar was one. And then my mom, still to this day, and my grandmother, they both sew. And I just always remember them sewing. And it wasn't like to make clothing for us, but it was projects, right? My grandma was a big quilter. And it was just, I just remember them always sewing. As you were talking, it had me thinking maybe we're a culture of like toxic productivity today. And this is the problem. Like
Yes.
everything we feel like we have to do is being productive or achieving some end goal. And I think really for leisure or hobbies, you're not going to have that often.
And that is a problem we have with leisure time, that in order to really maximize the leisure, one, you have to be doing an activity that is mentally engaging.
Mhm.
So if you have a lot of distractions from it, that will definitely mess things up. We're terrible about this idea that we think if you are taking time to have a hobby or do this, that it's silly, it's ridiculous, it's childish. So a way people have gotten around that is to monetize their
Mhm.
hobbies. But then once the minute you put this win loss on it and like it's for another purpose other than just pure joy, you've tainted it now. Now it's no
Yeah.
longer a hobby. Now it's a job. And jobs are different than hobbies.
I think about even as a reader, I love Regency and historical era books. And all of them they had things they would do and they're just toiling away the hours with needlepoint or whatever it was. And again, back then, maybe they were making it for clothing, but it was like to clothe your family. It wasn't necessarily to make money off of it. But I feel like in these historical novels, these women are always sitting around, quote unquote, doing some form of a hobby.
I think there has been a recent push, but I don't know if it's really stuck around. COVID-19, that was the perfect one. People are freaking out, so they want something to distract them. And two, they couldn't really go out. The sourdough bread kick, that was a hobby. That was a leisure activity that people were doing. Is there anything that you or maybe some others during COVID were like, okay, this is this hobby I'm picking up?
I have a really hilarious story about this actually. So when COVID-19 hit, we were living in Sicily, Italy, and we were incredibly locked down. You could not, you had to, you could only leave the base for three reasons. You could only be seen driving in your car for three reasons: to go to the doctor, to go to the grocery store, or to go to work. And you had to have a piece of paper in your car saying what you were doing. You could not even drive, go for a leisure drive and not get out of the car. You could not do that in Italy when COVID started. So for 10 weeks, we were pretty much locked in base. And I had a baby in April 25th of 2020 as well. So then I was like home with a new baby. Anyway, so I look at my husband one night, and this was week 10. I specifically remember this being week 10. And I had seen these egg carton flowers where you cut out like the base of the cardboard and you paint them and you made these little like bouquets with these cardboard flowers. And I thought this would be so fun. I think my kids would love this, my 5 and my 2-year-old, who weren't doing it at all. It ended up being a mom project, right? And I look at my husband one night, and you're going stir crazy by this point, and I'm like, I just start hysterically laughing, like tears streaming down my face. I'm like, I am literally painting garbage. Just had this, I don't know, just release of like emotion, but it was hilarious. And I'm like, what has my life become? I'm painting trash. And I threw it all out. But that's not really a new hobby I picked up, but it just was this hilarious. I still to this day remember just reaching my breaking point of I'm going stir crazy and realizing I'm painting garbage and just this whole thing. If that's your hobby.
No, that's painting garbage is not, I'm not that kind of artistic person. For me, I've always been a pen pal or a letter writer, but life comes and I just wasn't as always on top of it. And during COVID, I'm like, oh, this is the time. And I got whole hog. There are pen pal writing sites, and I got all these different pen pals. And then I got all of this like craft material to make these little folds, tri-fold things that you put little pockets, and you sent them like little things and you mail these. Like I went crazy
Elaborate
on that stuff. Yes. And they were fun. It was a good time. I still write though. I've gotten worse since we've passed COVID and the lifestyle gets busier. I've had a harder time of sticking to letters and cards or whatever.
Yeah, the one thing I picked up, I will say, was I guess that would have been in 2022. We moved to Washington State, and it's very rainy in Washington, as I'm sure most of you. And I realized we were spending so much time in the house because I love being outside, but there's a level of being cold and wet that I don't love about being outside.
Right.
And so I got into cross stitching because my neighbor was a cross stitcher. And so she taught me how to do the stitches. And so I bought like 2 or 3 different patterns, but those things take so long to do. I think I maybe completed 1 out of the 3. And I remember my husband just laughing, like in good humor, right? Of, are you ever going to finish these projects? Because this is, I feel like, the story of me and hobbies. If it's crafting, I take to it kind of like you did. Like I buy all the stuff and then I never do it again. I only finish 2% of it probably.
Yeah. I have various supplies of the crafting path of my life.
Yeah. I think that maybe that should be like, I know hobby stores are going away, but maybe there should be like a little lending library or something of hobbies. Like you could go and you could pick up like, here's a pattern and you can give a little sample to cross stitch. And if you don't like it, you can turn it in, or all your failed things that you know you're not going to pick up again, you could turn it in. Right. And it's like this community exchange, like a little free library, but it's a craft free library.
That just got me thinking of like we talked about of seeing things go with Joanne's going away. I'm like, that's just another sign of the diminished hobby and leisure time of people not doing that anymore. And it was a very popular quilting, sewing, just anything with fabrics, that kind of thing was huge for a long time. And now for it to be gone,
Yeah.
it's shocking to me.
I know. Again, my mom and grandma, the sewers, are like, where are we going to get our fabric? Like, they are obviously you have Hobby Lobby, but like they only have so much. And I don't know if Walmart has fabric anymore. I know they used to, but I don't know.
I asked online on Instagram to people, did they start hobbies in COVID-19 and if they're still doing them today? And I got a few responses. This one surprised me. Kath Peg, she started K-pop dancing. And I'm like, wow,
Fun.
what a unique hobby to start.
Yeah.
The YouTube teacher she watched at the time is based in Dublin. She says that when I'm there for a while for work this summer, I can do one in person.
How fun.
I know. I can't wait to see that. That was just of all the things, that was not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Rambling from the little shed said, I started writing and now it's my passion. So that's near and dear to my
Yay,
heart.
Holly. I love it.
And lastly, this one, I don't know if it's a hobby, but I liked it a lot. Auntie Amer said, being okay with being myself.
I
Hobby, that's
think
good.
that we got isolated with COVID, right? And I think
Hmm.
that there was a lot of time for introspection.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I, to our point, we're talking about a lot of failed craft adventures. I think it's important to have failed adventures, obviously, because we can learn from them. But I think it only helps teach you about yourself and how hitting that reset button, finding what that is for you, because your hobbies are not going to be my hobbies. And I think that's a lot of times we think we see someone else doing something and we think, oh, that's going to be me too. And we dive all in and then we realize, oh, that's not us. And I have said for a lot of my life, I'm not artistic. I play the piano and I'm always like, piano was my art. But maybe I'm discounting myself a little bit. But for me, I found reading is my ultimate reset. And can reading be a hobby? Because that's what, if you asked me what is my hobby, I would tell you 10 out of 10 times it's reading. That's what I
Oh, it is a
choose. If
hobby.
I,
If somebody asked me what your hobby was, I would have told them reading. Like that, it is. Think about how much time all of us are trying to carve out reading time. And it's something we do for leisure and we love it. And
yeah, and that could be bird watching. It could be hiking. It could be any cooking, right? Cooking can be a hobby. Baking, like you said, sourdough. I think just recognizing, what you love and what truly makes you feel energized. Half your battle is figuring that out. But then once you have that, you stick to that. And then maybe you try adjacent hobbies to that realm.
I agree with you. You need to accept that a lot of these, especially if you're trying one, you're like, okay, you know what? After this podcast, you're like, I'm going to go get a hobby. This is not in cement.
Yeah.
Like, hobbies are there to make you feel joy. And so if you try something out and you've tried it for a little while and you're like, it's not really giving you joy, then step back because then it's not performing its function in the slightest.
Yeah. I think I had someone come on the show, Tanner Welsh came on the show, and we had this whole conversation about switching careers, but I think you could also apply this to your hobbies. Take a look at your day and see what drained your energy and what truly, to use like this cliche term, of what filled you up. And I think if you realize that this hobby is draining you, then that's probably the time to kick it to the curb and try something different. Like you should feel better when you're done.
You had some great hobby suggestions. The cooking, baking, reading, that I looked at some other ones and there were some really interesting learning a language.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're going to travel or if you're a traveler, like that makes so much sense.
And using your brain, like you said, like it's stimulating
Right.
your brain in a different way.
Absolutely. Getting into photography, yoga, gardening, especially this time of year, chess, origami.
Mm,
I thought that was, you see some of those origami things, they are perfect for mindfulness. If you get into board or card games, that I remember when I was young, my parents would often have other adults over and they would do a big euchre party. And that
mm,
was a hobby a lot of them had, was playing cards. And it was a way to connect. Like I do my axe throwing, and it gives me such a sense of community because I'm with these amazing women and we don't, we're not all about, ooh, I gotta win. We support each other, and it's not just the sport.
yeah.
That I remember it was around Christmas time. The owners were sending out all of these letters to businesses to be like, hey, if you're going to do your Christmas or New Year's event with your staff, why not bring them to the axe throwing place? I'm like, oh, that's cute. And so she had a box just full of letters and envelopes. We set ourselves up in an assembly line and like we're
I
doing this.
love that.
We made two, and people were coming over. Okay, you could do this, and you can do that. We're self-regulating, and we're
Yeah.
teaching other people how to do it. And they're like, "Oh, okay, all right. I've been doing this for like 5 minutes. My hands are tired." Somebody else came in, and it was amazing. Like we got almost all their stuff done in 20 minutes because you had all of these women helping
Yeah.
out.
And the power of community, like you said.
My podcast is my hobby, and it has brought an amazing community. Like I've met you,
Hmm.
and I wouldn't have otherwise if it wasn't for this. And there's so many other people out there, and especially because it seems like a very individual hobby, but it's not. Like I feel like I'm amongst so many others. Have you found a similar experience?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of the background stuff, right? The editing, the marketing, making sure stuff's on the website. That is pretty solo, but the people I have met and the relationships I've made and being around other creative people has made me realize maybe I am a creative person. It's just maybe not in the arts and crafts type way.
Think about all the different people you've interviewed. How many people have you met through your show?
Yeah, episode 150 came out last week, so
Right.
150.
And
That's huge.
it's
Yeah.
amazing
Yeah,
that
I was thinking as you were talking too about, I think maybe the way you could look at hobbies is as a way to stretch yourself. You mentioned photography, and I'm thinking I wouldn't know the first thing about that, but you're challenging yourself to learn something new. And again, there's nothing, no other end goal, except maybe you're just stretching yourself to learn a new thing.
there is so much self-confidence that can come with hobbies as you get better with them over time. Oh my gosh, my podcast, we go from the first episode to the last. But there is just this, hey, I can do this. I
Yeah.
have some expertise. And like at my axe throwing, it's so weird. There's times where, because I'm not really great, I'm just not. That's okay. I don't
But you
need to,
enjoy it.
it's right. I go there to have
Yeah.
fun. And but there'll be like a new person coming in. I'm like, oh, okay, you need to do this. You can twist it a little bit or do that. And they're like, oh, that did help. And I'm like, wow, okay, maybe I know more about this sport than I think I do.
I think there is another side of this for our children that has scared me a little bit of our kids don't know how to be bored because they're constantly stimulated, and I think hobbies stem from boredom. Like I think us exploring different things stem from boredom or COVID-19 when we're locked in our houses and you're wondering what the heck to do with yourself. And I think there's such a push to be like, my kid needs to be in 17 sports, learning another language, and no fault. We all have best of intentions, but I worry for the next generation, like my children coming up, of having that boredom time to explore an instrument. So we have a piano in the garage. Go plink on the piano a little bit, or draw, or write, have fun writing stories. I remember writing stories when I was a kid. I think this is their time to explore before you really get that toxic productivity. Like this needs to be for something. And I don't know that our kids have that today.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of kids that they have an absence of play. And that is, I think play is where we learn so many things.
Yeah.
We learn communication skills. We learn,
Conflict management.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Seriously, it's
Yeah.
huge. Because especially if you had a whole group of kids and you played with them, there's always going to be some you just don't get along with.
Yeah.
But you're like, I could leave, but then I don't have access to the fun and the things. So you find a way to deal with it. It's where creativity comes. That's you make up a game. You
Yeah.
make its rules. You come up with things because you're right. There boredom is often that instigator.
Yeah, not to like totally sidetrack from that, but I think, and this isn't a knock on any parents because I'm just as guilty as the next, it's go turn on the television because it's a bit easier. But I think challenging yourself as a parent to allow your kids to be bored or have time to be bored, not be so scheduled.
We don't want them to be bored, but we want them to not be bored in the right way. If you're binging TV or doom scrolling on your phone, these are numbing techniques. You
Yeah.
are not refilling the cup. That these are temporary distractions, where a hobby is something that prevents that boredom.
I realized that very early on in motherhood. And that's really when I was a big reader as a kid, but then you go through college and grad school and life and you're busy and I stepped away from reading. But when my oldest was a baby, I realized very quickly that if I sat on my phone for 15 minutes versus if I read my book for 15 minutes, I was a different mom completely. And so it made me very intentional of leaving my phone in the other room or making sure when I'm sitting down to nurse the baby, I had a book right there or making, and I think you can build in things. You're choosing that over your phone when you maybe can sneak 5 minutes to yourself.
And there's ways the phone can be helpful.
Yeah.
Like if you've got an audiobook on there,
Yeah.
I double dip all the time. I'll listen to an audiobook or a podcast while I'm doing chores or driving around doing things. And so that's a way for me to get my mind engaged
Yeah.
and I'm having this pleasant experience while I'm getting something done. So but I know that's a good thing to do, but that's still not fully an all out hobby or
Yeah.
like time. Like I need time where it's the only thing that I am doing and I'm intentional about it. Because like I'll listen to a book while I'm doing stuff and I enjoy the book, but I do not feel the same of when I sit down, light some candles, celebrate the event, and just do, even if for half an hour,
Yeah.
like a half an hour of that, I could have listened to a book for 2 hours in a day in different areas, and I will feel so much better, calmer if I've done that.
I think our friend Esther Avant, she taught me the word habit stacking, and I am the ultimate habit stacker, where you pair something enjoyable with cleaning the toilets or whatever it is. So I'm 9 times out of 10, it's like you said, an audiobook or a podcast while I'm doing chores around the house. But I think what comes back to what you're saying too is you're intentionally choosing to take time for yourself and you're setting it up to be this event. And I think that in itself should be celebrated as a win right there.
Yes. You think about how many minutes you spend on other people. Do you not deserve a certain amount of minutes every day or every other day, whatever, just for you and your wants?
Yeah, and that's why
Like,
for me it comes at 4:30 in the morning because by 8 p.m. I'm falling asleep on myself. So it's you have to find it for you in your day when you can use that time for you.
right. And the
Speaking of
older,
hobbies, I went to book club last night, and so my husband had the kids, and I came home, and they had made all these cards. They were very sweet. It was like, "I love you, mommy. I love you, poppy," and it was like these little cards that like my husband took to work. My littlest, he's 5, but he climbed in our bed, which is very rare, but he climbed in our bed at who knows what time this morning, 2:30, 3, who knows. He brought the card he made me. And he goes, "Mommy, I've got this for you." And then he like climbs into bed to sleep next to us. And I'm thinking, like, how did you remember at 2:30 in the morning this card that you made me while I was gone at book club last night? But it was so sweet. I obviously didn't turn on the light and read it. I like set it on my nightstand. But I was like, how in the world did he remember to grab that when he came in the middle of the night when he's half asleep? It was sweet.
aw, you have great kids. You're a good mom.
That when you asked me my small win, I thought about saying that one, but it was very sweet.
That's a great small win. But isn't that nice? We're like, oh, I have to pick
Yeah.
from all the small wins. I have to pick one.
I think you'll be surprised once you start noticing them, how many you truly have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been working, again, I'm not so great about celebrating them, but I have been better about noticing them since I was thinking about doing the series. And I'm like, okay, let's start focusing in on these small wins. And
Yeah.
it's been good.
We talked about how much we love stats, and I always share
Oh,
them on my Instagram. I try to like once a month share some fun carousel post of different stats. And I did one maybe a few months ago, and it was like your brain on books and how your brain changes. And I want to say this for the listeners because I think there's so much like a lot of us immediately here, I don't have time for myself. But just 6 minutes of reading reduces your stress levels by 68%. So when you
oh,
immediately think you listen to this and you're thinking, I don't have time for myself, like in as short of a time as 6 minutes, stepping out of what you're doing and doing something for you. And I'm assuming there's probably some stats too, like just doing a hobby for 6 minutes. Like it doesn't need to have 2 hours to yourself. Like, because we know we don't
right.
get that often. They can be as short as 6 minutes.
That's phenomenal. Lunch
Yeah.
hour, write a letter to somebody. I love to do card writing. A lot of us, when we think of a letter, oh my God, it's too
It's
much. It's
daunting. Yeah.
daunting. Yeah. So I have a stack of cards I keep on hand and I will fill out a card. That does not take so long. Okay, now I get to send this out. And
Yeah.
you
As the
feel really
recipient,
good.
I've loved it because I've gotten one or two of your special cards as well. And it's such a bright spot to my day.
People have always liked to get mail in the post, but today, even more than ever, it is such a rarity. It's that mindfulness activity, it's that slowing down,
Yeah.
it's focusing on something. And it's one of those, when you start, it probably will feel weird.
It's like a muscle
Oh,
you
what do
haven't
I?
used in a while.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And you can get that back. Or join pickleball. Have you played it yet?
I have. I have. I'm not even going to say it because I want you all to have a hobby. My physical therapist brain is woo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, quick share because I just thought this was fantastic. Kara has a pitching coach for her son, and how old is he?
He's 9. Yeah.
Okay, a 9-year old with the pitching coach. And at first, I'm like, I'm sure a lot of you are like, what the heck? And
Yeah.
I was like, wow, you guys really take gameplay seriously. And then you explained why, and I'm like, oh God, that is so you. It is 100% you.
Yeah, so we do not have, of course I want my son to be a great pitcher. Of course, but it's very innocent. Like it's not me like forcing him. I have no skin in the game. I played softball for 2 years. The only hit I got was a foul ball that hit my coach's dog in the head. I was a terrible softball player. So I have no skin in the game of he needs to be a baseball player, but he loves it. He wants to be a pitcher. And my husband and I are both physical therapists. And we are like, ooh, man, the injury rates in pitchers are really high. So he has a pitching coach solely to teach him the mechanics of pitching so he doesn't end up with a Tommy John type surgery or a shoulder injury with a rotator cuff or what because this is unfortunately when you're a physical therapist, this is what your brain does. So he has a pitching coach to teach him the proper mechanics of a baseball pitch.
That is awesome.
Which
I
is only
hope
going
your
to make
daughter.
him a better pitcher, but like really the
Right,
reasoning is it's so he does not have an injury
right.
later on. Learn it young.
This has been a pleasure. Thank you, Kara, for coming on the show and sharing your thoughts and putting out the importance of leisure, because I agree with you 100%. I hope my listeners found this fun and inspiring. And it's been a nice reminder for me that I need to keep working on finding time for me.
I thank you so much for having us on. And your show's called Jacqui Just Chatters. So I do feel like we chattered our way around here, whether it was solely in leisure or hobbies or children's sports.
You're right. This is Jacqui Just Chatters. This is my hobby. This is for fun for me. And yeah, I had a good time. That's what it needed to be.
Yes. Let's do it again sometime soon. Thank you again.
Absolutely. I hope you, my listeners, are inspired to spend some time on your hobbies or, try your hand at a new one. I am back into axe throwing after taking the summer off. I've missed my time with my friends. You ladies rock. I need to take a little time off for a vacation and getting ready for my book launch this past summer. Yes, if you don't know, I wrote a book and it's called The Daphne Project. If you want to learn more about it, you can check out my previous episode or go to my website. The book is available on Amazon, or if that isn't your thing, I respect that. I share other options to get the book as well. Speaking of books, I've got a short list here of books that actually have all been turned into movies that I think will uplift your mood. They all have a wonderful feel good vibe going on. So if you're in need of that right now, why don't you try any of these out? There is The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. Harold shows us how an average person can do extraordinary things. He is a doll. You're going to love it. Then there is the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. That is a tongue twister, and I even got that whole thing out on my first take. I'm so excited. I didn't need to edit that. Anyway, this story is of a community on a small island during World War II, and it is told through letters. It will melt your heart and leave you feeling hopeful in the end, which is not something you always hear about, something about a novel from World War II. The last one I'm going to mention is The Thursday Murder Club, and it's part of a series. In fact, Netflix is making a movie about this. I can't wait to watch it. Looking forward to that. This group of mature adults show us that retirement is just the start of a new adventure. Highly recommend it. I want to thank my listeners for sharing some of their small wins with me. If you've got one to tell me about, use the form on my podcast page at my website. Don't worry if you think it's not a big deal, because that's the point. I want small wins. And if you send one in, maybe I'll share it on a future episode. Coming up later this month, I will be airing an episode of Hot Takes on Old News, where I share some older news stories with friends and we give our modern spin on them. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, I will be sharing some great short stories sent in by a fantastic group of writers. Can't wait for that. If you're enjoying the show, please take a moment to give it a 5-star rating or maybe even write a quick review. It helps so much in pushing the show out there so that others can find it and be part of our community. Thank you so much. Until next time, I wish you well.